Hey everybody, this is Javier Balrams. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It was just yesterday. I have Miss Eden here. Miss Eden is in part of a German rock band, but it's just not any kind of rock band. They have swing music in it. They also have a little bit of funk and a little bit of metal. It's actually called brass metal. Isn't that correct, Miss Eden?
Yeah, we are kind of switching between like swing metal, brass metal, jazz metal. It's kind of like we're still trying to figure it out. Yeah.
Now, I listened to some of your music, and then when I looked you up, it said Germany, and I was all like, Germany has what we would think of as weird metal. But I think metal is all kinds of everything throughout the United States because I was just listening to baby metal, which is
Oh,
Japanese metal, which I got a kick out of because I was just like, the hell is this? And they're all like, well, that's baby metal. I'm like, well, what the hell is baby metal? Baby metal, say the Asian metal. I'm like, well, I need to know more. What the hell? What else is there? And then I came across your metal. So you happen to have this brass metal, which is brass metal.
yeah.
By the way, everybody, the name of the band is Shoo Bee Doom. Did I say it correctly?
Shoo Bee Doom. Yes, definitely.
so,
Yeah, but I
so
mean
tell me a little
it's
bit about
German.
the band.
Yeah, it's German by accident, basically because we chose to live here. But it's like it's in English and it's not. I mean, you would not imagine Rammstein and having us in the same like we're not in the same group together. I would say. Um, yeah, but yeah, Shoo Bee Doom. We're combining brass instruments and wood instruments like saxophone into metal, and it's kind of hard to describe by words because it's something you have to listen to mostly, but it's more upbeat. It's very upbeat. It's something you can dance to. It's something you can headbang to. Like really depends on your preference. Some people get kind of confused in the beginning, but then my best advice is just like to let your mind shut down and just start doing whatever feels like making sense to you. But yeah, it's with clean vocals. So I'm the singer, and I do a little bit of like adding some effects into it, but it's mostly clean. And yeah, I call it also like a party metal or a fun metal. So it's something that you can have fun with, but you're not only having fun, you also have the power of metal inside. I hope I described it well enough. It's kind of hard to describe.
Well, it's kind of hard to describe, but you did pretty well.
Awesome.
So a lot of people don't know, but you have what I'm reading right now is you have 5 singles now. You have I Got Sing, Burning Out, Old School Medicine, Swinging It, and Devil's Dance. And you also have music videos to go with quite a few of these.
Yes, we're trying. We also have some covers, but we are also working a lot on originals.
Well, what are the covers you do?
So we have Hit the Road Jack, which is kind of popular. A lot of people know that from the swing world, but we've put some what we thought was a needed energy and power to it. We also have the Under the Sea, swing metal version of Under the Sea.
You mean the
um,
Disney song Under the
the
Sea?
Disney song Under the Sea, yeah. We have released that as well. I mean, during our concerts, we have a few more. Highway to Hell, for example, X's and O's. Yeah, we've combined a little bit of covers because we are still new and we don't have enough of original songs for a full set. And I think it's also for people to kind of find the thing that they're familiar with within something that is unfamiliar, which is swing metal. So it helps them to come into that world, and they're still having a lot of fun, but they hear it kind of different. So for me, it's kind of now hard to hear the original songs now because it's like I'm missing something in there. So yeah, that's the combinations we do.
Well, South by Southwest here in Austin is going to be, I think, February. Did you ever consider
Mm.
coming to the States and performing at South by Southwest?
That would be amazing. I mean, I think for all European bands that are aiming to go to the United States, you know that you're big enough if you got to that point. But it's kind of very expensive and kind of hard to manage to do. So I think we need to first manage Europe, and then we will be able to step it up to the United States. But obviously, that is definitely something we're aiming for.
So how would you like describe the creative process when it comes to writing and recording your music?
Yeah, so something that is very good to know is, first of all, my husband is also the guitarist. So we basically started the whole process of the band. And since he is actually the mastermind behind the whole idea and behind the creative part of it, not only the music, but also you mentioned our videos, so also the videos are mostly his ideas. We sit down together. Tom is his name. He is constantly, since I know him, he had actually a different metal band before, and so since I met him, he is constantly holding his phone and like humming inside. Like he has ideas without even wanting to have ideas. So, but he has partial ideas. So he comes up and tells me like, okay, the next song, I want to call it Swinging It. He wanted to call it Winging It. We changed it later. And I wanted to go, I'm winging it. And then from that, we need to create a song. So we're taking something that is very like raw and partial, and we then start to build on top of it. And it's not really a very constructed way. So we don't first add lyrics and then have music, or vice versa. It's more of, okay, we're trying to build them together. And he technically mostly comes to me and says, so this is the idea. Now I have no idea what this song is about or what is it going to look like or sound like. Help me. And then I'm like, okay, this sounds to me like this is the right story for it. What do you think? And then we start to really build this up. Along the way, there were times where we started building the song. We wrote a chorus, and then we started writing the verses and all of that. And then we noticed, oh my God, it has nothing to do with the story anymore, because we tend to put our heads into rhymes. He really loves rhyming. And then if it has to rhyme. And so we just start, throwing ideas. And then we read it again. And then I'm like, wait, no, that doesn't fit. We have to completely delete it and start again. So that happened. And I think we're getting better at it with me constantly asking, is it part of the story? Does the story matches? Who is even the narrator? How is it even being spoken about? This is where I contribute. Tom contributes for everything else, basically. So this is mostly how it looks like. Very chaotic, I would call it.
So how did y'all come up with the name of Shoo Bee Doom? How did that come about? Can you?
Once again, the mastermind is Tom. First, when we started the idea, we didn't even plan for it to be a band. And when we decided for that to become a band, he was like, you know what? I was kind of like joking around with the name Shoo Bee Doom. And I heard of it and I was like, yes, that has to be the name. He thought of it as like he's throwing away a joke to the air. And I'm like, that's brilliant, because it really combines what we're talking about. Like the Shoo Bee is like comes from scatting, which you find a lot like in jazz and swing and all that. And the doom, this is like the metal part. And he kind of threw it as a joke. I grabbed it with both hands and I'm like, this is what we're gonna be called from now on. This is kind of the process. Yeah.
And amongst all your music, like what is the one song that we should recommend for everybody to listen to that will get them thinking
do you
of y'all?
make me choose my children? That's not okay, Javier. Well, normally when somebody comes and tell me like, oh, I want to listen to your music, I want to know what it's like, right? I tend to ask them first, what do you normally listen to? Because actually, what I was noticing is that even people who listen to mainstream music, so they would definitely not connect either to swing or to metal, or you would not find that in their playlist normally. They would still actually like it. So I tend to ask, like, what do you listen to normally? And then with that answer, I kind of find the right match to it. But I would say, so from what we noticed, Old School Medicine, which is the first song that we wrote, is the one that everybody loves the most. So it was the most heard song, still the most heard song. So this is the one that will pull you in, I would imagine, the most in terms of you get the energy, you get the, trumpet and saxophone and all of that. You'll have it all with the metal part. So if I have to choose one, maybe Old School Medicine would be the right one to
Yeah,
choose.
because that would probably be the one that I was going to post on there to get everybody to pay attention to your band.
Yeah, everybody loves that song. I'm happy they do, and yeah, I love all of them. It's hard to pick one.
And you also mentioned that you were married. How does that work between y'all being in a band and then being a married couple? Like, how does that like life band structure work for y'all?
Well, I think for us, it actually works really well because, first of all, the band idea was actually, it started as Tom comes to me and tells me, hey, I want to have a new project that I want to work on aside from like his job and another band, as I already mentioned. And he was like, okay, these are the three ideas. And one of them was swing metal. I was like, oh, swing metal actually sounds cool. I have no idea what that means, but let's not put a pressure on it, and let's just do it as our couple's activity. That's what it started as. We just create songs together as for the fun. And we worked so well together. And actually, I think it's worth mentioning that 4 days ago we celebrated 8 years of marriage. And in January, it's going to be 10 years of us dating and getting to know each other. So when we met and when we started talking, I actually was selecting him by his choice of music. So that was something super important to me. And I told him, look, I'm looking for someone who actually has good taste in music because, music is a huge part of my life. And if you're forced now to sit down 4 hours in a car, for example, traveling somewhere, you want to have at least the same taste in music so that you don't fight the whole time. I don't know. That's what I find like to be super important. So we have established that we have the same taste in music and that we can actually work together. And we did work together in many different other projects. We've created Songs for Children, that's also still on YouTube. And we really like doing projects together. So I think it's only natural that we have created Shoo Bee Doom together and we're working on it together. Now, it was also important for us when we brought more band members to tell them, look, we are aware of what does it look like when you have a couple in a band or in any business for that matter. It can be tricky because they either take each other's side all the time or they fight constantly with each other and then it doesn't work out. And we explained to them that we have our way of how to manage and handle stuff and that we are really good with communication and we will make sure we're not putting any baggage from our life into the band. And so far, I think we're managing it quite well, especially that Tom is like, you have your specialty, which is kind of like more into the business or talking or, being communicative with the world. And he is like more of an introvert. I want to write the music. I want to have the artist kind of, perspective and work in the band. So it really helps that we all have our own kind of speciality that we're working on. So it works. I don't think it will work for everybody, but for us it does.
Well, it has to be a little difficult to go to work and see your husband and then y'all are going home and you still have to deal with each other, even with a
That's his work.
stressful day.
That's his workstation behind me. We actually worked even before Corona. We worked from home together 24/7, and we love it. We're kind of a bit sticky sometimes. It's working for us, and we know we just, I don't know, we like each other's company. As weird as
Well, that's how it should be. That's how marriages work.
I know. I know. It does work. It does work well. We also know we have a four-room apartment. If he needs his own time, he just goes to another room. He's just like, I'm with the TV now, and it's fine. But we work really well together. Yeah.
Well, Messine, we were talking before we started recording, and you had mentioned you're actually not from Germany. Can you give us a little backstory about your life?
Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm from Israel originally. I was born in Jerusalem, and I actually have a chemistry degree. I have a bachelor in chemistry, which is also quite funny because in Germany it's super important to have a certificate, and everybody is like, why did you not mention ever that you have a bachelor in chemistry? And I'm like, because I don't want to work in it. And it's not something that is like, I've done it because, my parents pushed me into study something, and that's what it was. And I was a teacher. I had a teacher diploma as well. So I studied it both together. And I was a chemistry teacher at some point. I'm the kind of person who does many things and have many interests. I was like a tour guide in the zoo. I was teaching salsa, Cuban salsa. So it was like I have a lot of different interests that I was doing. Singing was always part of my life. I was on stages since I was 5, dancing, singing, just put me on stage and I'm happy. And yeah, I've decided to relocate to Germany, actually since I was 17. And when I met Tom, or before I met him, I told him, look, if you want to go out with me, that few stuff you need to agree to or you need to be part of. And one of them is I don't want to stay in Israel, so you have to be on board with relocating. Doesn't mean we're relocating tomorrow, but it's like if you are kind of like a patriot and you're like, oh, I love Israel so much that I'm never leaving, then there's no point of us, starting anything. So I know very much what I want in my life, so that was helping. And
it seems like it worked out.
It worked out for sure. And we came to Germany because I have an EU citizenship from my grandparents that were born in Romania. It was very helpful. And yeah, we live in Germany for 7 years now. And even here, we've done so many different things. And I had my own business until the last 2 months. I was a relocation agency. I was helping people relocating from all over the world, also from the United States to Germany. And yeah, basically helping people with finding an apartment, with the bureaucracy, which can be amazingly annoying. And of course, the German language, which is I'm also still struggling with until now. Let's go with. It's not easy. And yeah, I also had my podcast there, which is called Why Germany, if you want to hear about stories of people relocating to Germany and how that was for them. So it's still out there, but I did close my business recently and now I'm looking for a job. So while handling the band, which if you ask me if I could be doing only that would be amazing. But I think reality says differently, at least for now, until we grow enough, I need to find also another way to make my means.
Well, I mean, you're on your way. If you're especially on my show, you're on your way.
I like that. Okay.
Of course. So let's say that I wanted to move to Germany. What are some of the things that you would recommend?
Whew. Okay, so first of all, especially as American, I would tell you, be very knowledgeable about where you're coming to, since there are a lot of differences that people are not aware of between the United States and Germany. So, for example, I know that in the United States, credit card is everything is everywhere. And in Germany, you are working on debit. You basically, if you don't have anything in your bank account, you cannot buy. Or I know also in regards to technology and being advanced, Germany is actually kind of a weird card here, because everybody think that they are very progressed, but there are many things they're not progressed in. And so I actually had a workshop that was called like breaking the myths about Germany, because there's so many myths that people are coming like, yeah, they're super punctual. And then you have the main train of Germany, the Deutsche Bahn, which is like constantly late, constantly being canceled. So there's so many things that people don't know. And it's super important to first be super aware of where you're coming to and doing the whole research to make sure Germany is something that is really what you're aiming for. Also, a lot of people think that you can get along with English in Germany quite fine. That's not the case. You need to learn German. So for sure, I would tell everybody to learn German before they're coming. They do learn English. They just are really not trained into using it, and they're not using it at all. So they're like, I know English, but I don't want to touch it. So that's kind of the situation. So of course,
yeah. Like I'll tell you that I would say that a lot of Americans just assume that everybody knows English, because a lot of the countries that people travel to, English is the second language or the third language, and so it's nothing like that in Germany.
Well, of course, that if you go into like big cities like Berlin or Munich and Frankfurt and you're a tourist, that's a different story, right? Like, because you will have the people who speak English in the restaurants or in the hotels or in whatever amusement park or museum you're choosing to go to. It's a different story. But if you then want to go and even register in City Hall, that doesn't necessarily mean that you will be able to do it in English. All the paperwork has to be done in German. You kind of have to, you shift yourself when you're relocating into, I am now doing a lot of things that I don't do as a tourist. And even being on the customer service with like big companies like Vodafone, Telecom, all kind of like really big companies that have services everywhere, they're still not speaking English with you, which is kind of crazy. And not to mention like foreign offices, this is the kind of thing that you most likely have to face at some point, and they don't speak English, and they're not forced to speak English in many cities. So it's kind of like you're learning that more and more places would kind of force you into going to German. So even if you are living in Berlin, most likely you won't learn the German language, because the people that speak with you on a day-to-day basis could speak English with you. But if you then want to go into offices like governmental offices, or you want to, I don't know, pay a ticket or something like that, you will most likely have to face German at some point. So I would say just don't ever imagine that you can just relocate to a country that English is not their first official language and assume everybody can handle English. That would be a very bad assumption to do. So yeah, learning German before you're coming for sure. And finding an apartment from abroad is very difficult. So I would go with like 2 months in advance before you're coming. You should try to find something. Before that does not make sense. People don't post their ads before that time. There are many things, but I mean, they're also, I kind of portray it as if Germany is like super awful, but no, there are so many good things about Germany.
No. Like if you're going if you're relocating to a certain country, it should be your responsibility to learn the language.
Yeah, I mean that, or you're at least understanding that you'll have to adjust a lot. So it's not only, so you're not coming there and you're saying, this is who I am, you have to adjust to me. That's just not how it works. And you'll create a lot of antagonism if that is what's going to happen. And I know some people who are like, there's no way I'm learning German. And I'm here like 7-10 years and I'm not learning German. That's not going to happen. And some people get by with that, especially in Berlin. But it is limiting. It's really limiting, or it's like you will have to pay every time you want to be somewhere and you need an interpreter or you need like a translator of some sort. It's also you're distancing yourself from the community, from like the local people. Language comes with also the traditions. It comes with, you know, some mentality that you are missing because you don't know the language. And it's I think it's like having not the whole picture, and it's kind of hard, I would say.
Yeah, because I wanted to talk a little bit about your backstory, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people haven't heard of your backstory, or they just like get to the bands, but it's a point to talk about a little bit of everything.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm happy to.
Mhm. I also wanted to ask you, like, what are some of your favorite venues over there in Germany? Because it's like over here in Texas, we have quite a few venues, and I'm sure y'all have the same over there.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't play that many different venues last year. Like that this year, sorry, 2024 is the time we started actually performing, and we had around nine concerts altogether. Obviously, the one that I had the most fun in was the one that was the biggest, and it was it's called Hellraiser, and it's one of the biggest metal venues in Leipzig, which is where I'm in, the city in Germany where I'm in. And we were lucky enough to be an opener to another band called the Hillbilly Moon Explosion. They are doing more like a country style music. Um, they were very fun. They were like playing 20 years together, and it's like you can see what the future might look like. It's super cool. And the event location was also for us super interesting, because you go in and then you have like your name on the door in one room of the backstage, and you're like, wow, that never happened to us, like that treatment of having our own room with beer in the fridge and like food on tables and stuff like that. And that was never the experience we ever had. And also they had in that place also like what I've seen in many movies in the United States, that you go like in Hollywood and you see on the hallways like pictures of the artists that were there before you, and you see bands that we know and love for a long time, Powerwolf and like all kind of very big metal performers that we love, and we're like, we're sharing the same stage with them. And for me it was very touching, and I was like, that's incredible. That maybe gave me a bit of hope of like, maybe I can be them at some point. It would be really great to be. So I remember that very vividly, and like it was a very fun memory. And I mean, it was also a bit hard for me because we are the opener of crowd that are not really into metal, but they did dance a little bit. But it's kind of like you see that they are not there for us, so it's kind of different experiences.
So you're opening up for a country band, is that correct?
Something like that. They're like they're country, I think, country music, rock country music. Yeah, but it's
There's a little irony there that there's
yeah.
a metal band opening up for a country band in
Yeah, but
Germany.
as we said again, we're not really metal, so it's kind of like
Yeah.
you can find your like what you're matching with. Very catchy metal, so it's just heavy on drums and guitar and bass, so that's like where you find the metal in that. Yeah, but I love that. I loved it. I love to have the room on stage, because normally we play on smaller stages, so yeah, it's great.
And how do you engage with your audience like during a live show? Like how does that go about?
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that I still am testing constantly. Because, well, that is for me the first band I was ever in. So before I was in like school choirs, you don't have to engage with anything in the crowd normally. You're just like part of uh, the many people who are singing. So I had to kind of learn from those that I really like watching. And, I was actually doing a little bit of exploring and like watching some live shows from performers that I really like. and they all have different approaches into how they do that, even if they even do that. Some just don't have any connection to the crowd. They are just like, they have their own narrations or like moderation that they do, and they just like, that's what we do. So I kind of did like mix and match. So I like to have some form of a storyline for our concert. So it's kind of, we have 11 songs, and I connect them together in a sort of a story, so at least half of it. And in the middle, I like to do kind of like, let's get to know the crowd and ask them, okay, so who here is a fan of metal? And then they're like, yeah. And then I'm asking who is a fan of swing, and then some of them are like, yeah, maybe. And then I ask who is a fan of swing metal, and then they're like, yay. And one of them even yelled like, I am now. So it was just like, I like that kind of connection of, they are maybe becoming part of it. And so that is one way that the narration and the moderation is part of it. Also, I tend to focus on really looking at people in the eyes and like maybe to combine them in the lyrics. So there is the song Swingin It, which is about a con artist. And so when I'm like talking about, hey, I'm going to lure you in and I'm going to take all your money, I'm looking at people and I'm like, you see a friendly face, but are you sure about it? All kind of like, you know, putting them in, whether they like it or not, into the song. That's that. And yeah, I mean, I like to be very theatrical, a little bit of like metal in that, like headbanging on the wall, on the stage, because it helps when I have long hair. Yeah, it's a lot of a combination of all of that. Just having fun. I'm making sure that I am having fun, because I know if I'm having fun, people are gonna attract that energy and gonna stick to it as well. It's gonna stick to them, and they're gonna, you know, if they understand what's happening on stage, they're gonna maybe be attracted to that and do it as well. So dancing, smiling a lot, being mischievous a little bit sometimes, depending on the song. Yeah, I would say I'm also working a lot of on bringing more energy to the stage, because it's actually like workout. Like you have to be in good shape to be able to hold for a long time with that amount of energy, because I constantly am singing in high notes and energy and belting and all of that. So it's a lot of work, but I think it's
Well, you know,
being
when
improved.
Taylor Swift has her concerts, she's gets all the exercise that she ever needs when she's on there. When she's on there for
Yeah.
3 hours, like that's
Exactly. That you cannot imagine she comes to that with no stamina. Like that cannot happen. But also, I think what helps her, or at least something that I realized after doing several shows, that you have those like tips and tricks that you can do in order to make sure people don't know that you're taking a break. Okay, so like you need a break every now and then. So either you choose in between, you put strategically where you have like maybe a slower song or like a lower energy song, so that you don't constantly being on high energy, one after the other, or even part of the moderation I give somebody else to do so I can take a breather. So it's those kind of stuff that people don't know, and they think, oh, it's actually part of it. We do just to make sure that we all have the break that we need. Obviously, when we have longer, we for now have 45 minutes of a concert, but when we get to like hour and a half, 2 hours, that those tricks are gonna need to be developed even more. But yeah, the fun part is that people don't know that it's actually there for practical reasons a lot of the times.
well, I think it's ironic that you mentioned like high energy and low energy and everything in between. Like, how much pressure are you under?
Oh,
Because you're the
wow.
lead singer of the band.
Of course, I'm in a lot of pressure because I keep the stage. So there is a reason it's being called lead singer. I'm leading the band. It's also something that a lot of people don't know, that when you have an instrument, then it's technically like you have something to hide behind, right? You're imagining the drummer. He is in his own bubble. He doesn't care what happened, on stage, like in the front of a stage, because
Well, they're not paying attention to the band.
they're
They're paying
not paying
attention to you
attention. They
as the
are
lead
in their own
singer.
world. Absolutely, they're in their own world. If they need to focus on what they do. Of course, they're very important. They keep the rhythm. They keep also the energy level or the style. It's like we played once with a jazz drummer, and the whole style was different. It was kind of super interesting to discover. So they of course have their own job to do, but that's it, right? We're drumming. um, and the guitarists, they can always at some point just focus on their guitar. They have the guitar kind of like as the thing that is blocking the crowd in a way, or they're protecting them from the crowd. I only have a microphone. It's nothing that protects me from anything. So I'm very exposed on stage for the good and for the bad. So if I can see those who are having so much fun and are blasting, we kind of feed on each other's energy and we help each other to make it amazing. Vice versa, it can be that nobody's dancing, nobody's doing anything, and I'm like choking because that's not helping, right? It's like it's exactly the opposite of what you want to happen. So there's a lot of pressure, but for me, it's also, this is what I'm doing music for. To see the people enjoying, for me, having one person in the crowd that I see singing with me, especially our original songs. This is everything to me. I don't need 500 people in the crowd. I need that one person that dances, have fun. I see that it does something to him or her. That's all I need. So it's a lot of pressure, but I see what it can bring, and it's everything to me. It's what I do.
And as a woman advocate, because I have it here on the notes, how do you inspire other women, or do other women look at you as inspiration? How does that go about?
Well, first of all, I tend to connect really well with women with singers, women singers that
Mhm.
are in metal bands, because we are there are not a lot of them who are out there. Not a lot of women in metal in general, either that be the crowd or on stage. So the more I see them, the more I tend to support or to, I don't know, try to connect with them. Also, outside of the band, I was also organizing a meetup of female entrepreneurs in Leipzig. So we were doing like networking, we were doing workshops to support women who are in Leipzig and are trying to create their business. That was helpful when I was also a business owner myself. I could support and mentor a little bit and give from what I know. So it was a kind of a topic that chose me and not I chose it, but I am super happy it did, because I see how much power we have to give and how much we should be able to support each other more, and how much women find it easier, many, but not all of them, but find it easier to support each other and to be a community together and push each other. Whereas with the men, it's a lot of the time more a competition kind of communication style. So this is why I realized we should be there to support each other, and that would be really helpful. So I haven't gotten into the metal world yet in terms of a lot of support, but I hope I will. But I'm very much advocate for that, for pushing women to whatever they want to do. Doesn't necessarily mean in the business or in metal or whatever, but just giving them a voice. It's super important for me.
Well, it has to be an inspiration for women to see you as the lead singer of a band.
I really hope so. I hope
And then I
so.
also wanted to ask you about your future projects. What do you have
Yeah.
in the works that people could look forward to?
Well, we are working now on 2 songs. One of them is a bit early to talk about, but the first one we started working on is called Cycle of a Psycho. And this is going to be a bit more into the madness of our music. But and a little bit more into metal, I think, but still I think we're keeping the sassiness that some of the songs we bring, like Devil's Dance or like Swinging It. I somehow started to connect into like the very sassy character, which, funny enough, I am not like that at all in life. So it's fun to have a persona that it's not really you, but you can kind of play with it if you want. So Cycle of a Psycho is a song that we still don't have a date for release, but hopefully the beginning of next year is going to be released. And we are planning to just have many more songs that we are releasing single by single, I think, until we have one album, like we have enough songs for an album, and we're just releasing that as an album. And we are going to start working next year for many, many more concerts with some help of booking agent and a promoter. So we're actually really going more into the professional area, hopefully. And yeah, as I mentioned, maybe coming at some point to the United States. I don't believe that's going to happen 2025, but who knows? Yeah, but definitely want to expand more from the area where we're at. We mostly this year played in Leipzig and Dresden, so it's kind of like the east of Germany. We did have one concert in Poland, which was amazing. Because
How was that journey to Poland?
well, we do have a trailer, so we traveled actually by car. It was like around 4 hours by car with some stops. And we didn't know what to expect because we do know Poland a little bit, but we didn't know if the people who are going to be there would like us or like what are they like at all as a crowd. But we got the opportunity because the Polish band reached out to us and they wanted to offer us to play in Poland and if we can help them play in Germany. And yeah, it was a small club and it was the best experience. It's kind of hard to say because it was a small club. There were like 25 people altogether. So you're kind of thinking, oh, that's not like a big night. But then after we came down at the stage, people started hugging me and kissing me and like, let's take a picture here and let's take a picture there. And please, like, we want your signatures. And one guy even told me, I am a tattoo artist and I want to give you a tattoo for free. Unfortunately, I could not stay because the day after we were playing in Germany, so we had to leave. But I'm like, that's amazing. Like, what's happening here? And they were like really having fun during the concert. So we said, we kind of reached out to that band again. It's called Liko. Or Lijo, they're calling it. We told them, look, we had a lot of fun working with you. They were such a great band. How about we do more Poland next year together with you? Like, we do like a whole month. We're coming to Poland. You're going to Germany a little bit. So we're kind of like really, really pushing.
You're good. It's like you're a tag team. Like y'all are.
Yeah. We're gonna be really like having a small tour with each other, co-touring, and because we also noticed that even though there were like 25 people who were in that concert, Poland all of a sudden came really high ranking on all of the streaming platforms we're in. And I was like, that's amazing. You know, they saw one concert and all of a sudden they are really into it. And I'm like, okay, seems like we definitely need to go to Poland again.
Oh yeah, like all you really have to do is just look at the analytics of everything and see what country sees everything.
It's they have a border with Germany. We can always take the trailer and travel, and it's not a big deal. So it's really fun. So it was really I think 2024 was an interesting year since when we started with the band, we never knew who was going to listen to it. Our swing listeners going to hear it. Our metal fans are going to listen to it. Who actually is our listeners? We're still in the process of figuring out. We did notice that it's more the metal scene is actually listening to it more. Those who are into like fully swing and jazz are like, that's maybe not their jazz. So it's like, yeah. But I even got some messages, several people telling me, you know what, my girlfriend does not listen to metal, but she really liked to. And I'm like, maybe we are actually the service for all those metalheads that want to attract, to bring also their women in their life into into metal. Maybe that's our service. I don't know.
Well, I mean,
Happy
you
to
have
be
like
in
a,
that
it's like a
service.
mixture of your band anyways. It's like a real blend of swing and funk as well as metal.
Yeah, our last release was actually funk metal. We really focused on the
Mhm.
funk part of it. So yeah, it's fun. It's metal for the masses. I don't know. It's like
Yeah,
mainstream metal. I don't know how to call it anymore. But it's just like
it's
you
okay.
can party to it. So it's fun.
And did you want to say anything else before we leave off?
Come and listen to Shoo Bee Doom and give swing metal or brass metal or jazz metal a chance, and maybe it's the one thing that you were missing in your life. You don't know. But for sure, you don't want to miss the option to see us live. It's a unique experience for sure. You're going to have a lot of fun.
So
Yeah.
for everybody to know that we're going to have some of their music on the channel. Everything is all the links, all the details, everything is going to be on there. Everything's going to lead back to the band. Like anything that you ask, we will gladly put on to the channel. So,
Yeah, if
and
you need
I
to
wanted
ask
to
me
thank
anything
you.
more, we are on all social medias. Well, not X, but basically, Instagram and Facebook, and we're very much communicative. We'll be happy to talk to you also there. So for sure, if you have any more questions, feel free.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.